We are now back in open session. I'm not sure how to proceed on this.
Can I make a motion?
Yeah, you can make your motion now.
Okay. I move that the village council authorize Brian Graham to sign a stipulation to put the case on hold to allow the parties to go to expedited mediation.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Chapman,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes?
Hines,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Ring,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
does that see
motion passed.
everybody again?
All right, we'll see you, Brian Graham.
Alrighty.
All right. 6A, approval of minutes from May 12th, 2021, public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 12th public hearing.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Need 6B, the approval of the minutes for the May 12th, 2021 regular meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, all in favor? Motion carries. So I gotta find that. Public comment. Thank you, Tom.
We're back on the mowing issue.
Okay,
The village council refuses to mow their grass, which last year got up to 72 inches on the right of way. That's not owned by me, it's owned by the village. Apparently, the mower can't go beyond Green Street. A year earlier, I was told that the village refused to mow the right of way for lack of resources. And just a few minutes after their refusal, they authorized an unlawful, according to the Michigan Department of Treasury, $1,000 donation to Paddle Antrim. I found this information on Michigan Municipal League's website. And I believe the council had got a copy of this particular thing under unlawful expenditures by a government unit, contribution to churches, veterans, nonprofit organizations. Look that over. That was your public year, the MML. And last year was the first time since I moved there in 2009 that the village mowed that right away. I almost, because of high center of gravity on my particular mower. And it was after, about 8 months after I had spinal surgery. I have medical conditions which might prohibit me from, in the near future, from mowing my own property. And I have several different steps I could take to protect myself from losing my home to either tax liens or excessive fines. I posted an article, which I had permission from the publisher to reproduce. It was done by the Institute for Justice in Arlington. And they had a case down in, or have a case down in Florida, 1,400 miles from us. It's a similar ordinance. this gentleman went to South Carolina to settle his late mother's estate. When he got back, his fines $500 per day, same as Central Lakes, accumulated to over $30,000, and the city council agreed to institute the foreclosure proceedings against him. And institute.
Thank you, Tom. That's 3 minutes. You're welcome to continue
Okay.
at item 15. Any other public comment? Reports, Scott.
Thank you. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look at the report. It's starting to get busy. Now that we're short-handed, it's a little bit different as far as number-wise, but we definitely are keeping busy. So, noted on there, Officer McLean resigned, effective May the 17th. You guys have her formal resignation. Qualification with range, and then just did some not typical but unusual equipment repair to the patrol car and then one of the department rifles. So, any questions?
All right, thank you, Scott. Any questions for Scott? Sam is not here. He has his report. The report is on the back of number 8 reports there. If you have any questions for Sam, you know where you can find him. 8C, campground report. Andrew, are you gonna?
Yeah,
Comment on that one?
so the last 2 weekends, we've been at 100%. This weekend, we're at 50%, but then after this weekend, it's 100% through Labor Day for the weekends, and most of the weeks in July are like, there's only a couple days in July that we're not at 100%, so we'll be getting pretty busy there. Also, Sam mentioned about just something for you guys to think about boat trailers and fishing tournaments, how this last weekend they kind of blocked everything up. They were double wide on Herrick Street. And just to think about what we can do with fishing tournaments and the launch. They were there power loading and doing everything, tearing up the ground underneath where the concrete ends. They tearing up that sand there, making a big gully in there. So Sam got out there with his loader and did something with it to try to fix it, but just something to think about.
You know, that group comes every year. Maybe we should try to find out who the director is of that tournament
Mm-hmm.
and tell them, because a lot of them stay down in Martinson's.
Okay.
We could find out who the director is and say, hey, you know what, you guys are now
Right.
campground very good.
Is this just a private tournament
Yeah.
that gets started?
It's a
Yeah.
group that comes out of Grand Rapids, I think.
Yeah, and he's thinking that there's going to be a few more this year too. So it's just something for y'all to think about. Plant the seed. The other thing is we've been having some kids swim without parents down there, so that's been just another point of awareness that parents should watch their kids when they're going swimming.
Do we have signs down there that say no swim,
No lifeguard. Yeah, we have that.
but I mean, it's, children can't swim without adult supervision or something like that? Just
Well, where are we talking?
Well, these kids were so
Campground?
young that they couldn't read. No, Thurston Park.
At the actual park.
Like they were 5.
Oh, right, by the
Yeah.
bridge.
Yeah, right by the bridge. So anyway, so I mean, yeah, I don't know if a sign would help or they just kind of,
It might,
yeah,
Can't read it.
yeah, exactly. So
but still, it might, I mean, it would be good to have a sign there.
yeah, that's over in Thurston Park
Yeah.
proper, the playground area versus our area. But
I mean,
just another thing to be aware of.
Correspondence, we got a lot. Let's see, this is from Judith
Piper,
Piper. As a small business owner in Central Lake, I appreciate the questions on the marijuana permit application about property ownership and local business ownership of the applicant. Research has shown that locally owned businesses put their money back in the community and have a vested interest in the community, but big corporations send their money elsewhere. That is from Judith, pronounce your last name for me?
Piper.
Piper, licensed psychologist. We have another correspondence from our contractor that did the pavilion, one Jim Green. Well, it'd be interesting to see the pavilion today. I heard that you replaced the whole slab. Amazing the money that some people waste. Yes, I finally had my meeting with the governor 2 weeks ago. Then I hear this news last night. This only gives me more firepower. That will be more interesting is to see if it was done correctly with a slope this time as we recommended. People want to know what is wrong with our taxes and why we pay so much. This is one example of wasting money. Yes, I plan on meeting the news media for a story. This time I won't be in the.
He's got you next sentence.
Yes, this time, let me finish. You're not supposed to teach. This time it won't be in the Atrium,
Atrium.
Atrium County paper, though. See you soon. The local taxpayers will be so proud of you people. Jim Green. All right.
Well, if you'd have done it right the first time, we wouldn't be going.
I doubt the record eagle will.
Let's see here. The stakeholders committee from Maggie Maw and Gordy Frazier. Gordy Frazier has begun the feasibility study. A survey will be mailed next week to all the residents of the village of Central Lake Township, Forest Home Township, and the village of Bel Air. The survey and information about the project will be available to all online through Gordy Frazier. We will post a link on our website. Can we get that link put on our website, Andrew?
Yeah.
Chamber dinner, April 12th, 4 p.m. April Siddiqui, or June, thank you. Yeah, April's her name. April Siddiqui is hosting that, as the other chamber people are as well. The street will be closed at 3 p.m.
Which street?
North Street.
North Street
Okay.
at Pine. Ralph Hines, you've been notified on that one? I didn't think so. Okay. I'll check with Mark and Kurt then too. So 3 p.m. just west of Pine Street. That is from the chamber. Andrew, am I missing any other correspondence?
No, he had a lot more than I had.
Trail, chamber dinner. Committee reports, streets, sidewalks, and lights, Mike Ring.
Okay, the only item I got is the gardening is continuing, and we had purchased those large garden containers for the sidewalks in downtown. We have 6 of them, but the other 12 are still on a ship somewhere or something. We don't know where it is or when it's coming, maybe July or August. So this year we'll only put up 3 of them, or 6 of them. And then the other thing is that we're doing minimal work at the signs, just clean up, make it look presentable. Any plantings and so forth, we'll wait for next year because of budget considerations. We try not to spend any money that we don't need to. That's about it.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for cutting back on that too. Sewer and water, Ralph Hines.
I have nothing to say that Sam didn't put in his report.
Law enforcement, Bill Chapman.
Chief Scott covered everything I had. I have nothing additional.
Communications, Kip Drake.
I'm gonna meet with the committee here in the next week or two. I'm doing Zoom meetings for Google Meet, see what he can do too, as well. So,
Zoom meetings for what?
well, so people can participate,
They can watch from home.
watch from home.
Oh, that's permissible, but we have to be live.
Well, you have to be live, but I'm just saying
I
for
understand.
the public, that's it.
That would be wonderful.
It would be.
You would never come.
The county does it, and their participation in county meetings has gone up by 400%.
You
That's
never
great.
show up here again, would you?
Nope.
It's on YouTube.
Finance and personnel, Brian Patton.
Bill and Mike and I.
We're gonna go over a little bit more in the president's report too. Rob was gonna turn it over to me to talk about that.
Well, good, I'll just let you handle
All
it. We should have 60% of our fund back in a threshold for reserves. Because in case anything happens, you should have 60% of your budget in a reserve. And he's just suggesting that we cut things down a little bit. Scott was there also. We talked about the part-time police officer position. And I see it being under new business. We will discuss that. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Brian. Parks and public property, Michelle Fox.
I don't think I have anything.
All right,
Do I? Parks and, I don't think
that's
so.
the end more than.
I did talk to Lissa today about the farm market. She's liking everything that's going on. Matt's gonna provide some tables for vendors. And she said she had 7 that she thought would be there, but it hadn't been paid or anything. Also, she's concerned about where the money should go that she gets from the vendors for being there. She wants to know who she should hand that to.
It would go to the DDA
DDA.
budget, yeah.
DDA? Okay.
So,
That's what I thought, but I didn't want to say that.
yeah, they would turn it into me and I'd give them a receipt for DDA deposit.
Okay, so she's gonna bring it down here to you.
That would be easiest.
All right.
And the farmer's market's Tuesday evening, starting June 21st or 22nd.
21st.
21st, coming
Okay,
right up.
whatever the Tuesday is there.
From 5 to 8.
From, I think,
June
yeah.
22nd.
22nd from like 5:30 to 8:30 or something like that. Right? PM.
And then if
Yeah,
you make
Rob will be
contact,
up by
oh, I'm
then.
sorry. Ralph, if you make contact with that individual again, I think she can put all of the money from the vendors in the night box, right?
Yeah, if she doesn't want to come during the day, the night box is fine.
So on her way out of town, she can slide it right in the slot,
Okay,
done.
all right.
I think that's,
Just an envelope.
Yeah, that's fine.
DDA on it is all you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Market or something.
Yeah, because it goes into my township office, so,
Okay.
yeah, so it's just me there.
President's report. I don't have anything really under the president's report that we aren't going to discuss or haven't already. The audit, we met with Ryan, from, Baird, Cotter and Bishop, about an hour and a half. So Andrew and I kind of put together a little bullet point thing, and I'm gonna turn it over to at this time.
All right, so, like Brian was saying, that he originally wanted us to bring down about 70 to 80,000, because that's what we budgeted for over last year. This year, we budgeted over like 57,950. So he said, make sure you reduce it by that amount to be at 0, because right now our fund balance is at $180,541, and the 60% that Brian was talking about is 180,000. So we got like 541 till we're at that threshold where they start, really watching that. So a few things that we're doing to try to help that. The sidewalk project put in into the general fund last year, and that should have went into local or major roads, the one along State Street. Probably major roads, since State Street's a major road.
Non-motorized.
Yeah, it should have been a non-motorized pathway in the local road, because they have to spend a certain amount on non-motorized trails anyways, according to the state. So that will, we can't do anything with that until the next audit though, so that's gonna be $37,000 back to the general fund. We're talking with Miller Canfield. They're our bond attorney for the USDA grant/bond loan that we're getting. about maybe classifying more of the computer software to the sewer. So hopefully, we can shave dollars of what the general fund's paying for the software. I 169,584 in Fund 101. A few things that we're doing to correct that is, one, we're tightening the budget just so we're not in deficit spending budget wise. Two, I took the DBW holiday, vacation, and personal days. Those used to all come from 101, and that's not a generally accepted accounting practice. You want to take it from where they work, not from a general fund. So now we're taking that across the local roads, major roads, sewer, and water. So that's going to help the 101 some, because you have Sam has 6 weeks vacation plus a week of personal time and so on. So that does start to add up after with 3 employees in there. So yeah, that's about it on that. And then yeah, I think if you have any more questions, if
Can I
anybody
bring
read through
something
them.
else
Yeah.
up? We also discussed at our meeting, I have been on this board a long time. Some days way too long. And all the years that I have been on this board, we have never raised millage. Expenses keep going up, millage has stayed the same. It's probably coming to the time where we're gonna have to discuss possibly raising their general fund. Everybody does it.
So I did look into that for you, and Brian Graham said that that's a thing that he can do, and it goes before the voters. So he would write up the language for us, and
It
it would
has to
go.
go in front of the voters, we just can't approve it.
It's the time we should talk about funding the police department through the village.
Yeah, that will be 12B.
Okay.
Discuss that also.
Yeah.
You did say you put it on.
And
But that's something that we need to think about for future, this board and future boards is.
Because those kind of things is what's making our 101 look so bad.
Exactly.
Because you have to remember, we take in 1 to 1.5% on taxes. But every year we give out a cost of living allowance, COLA, at 3%. So every year we keep drawing off, and it's come to the point where we gotta pay the piper. We can't keep running it. We're right at the deficit right now. We're at 180, and there's no more room for error. So that's where we're at.
And our employees deserve a cost of living raise every year. But that's something in the next few months we're gonna have to discuss.
That's all we've got from that right now. Questions on the audit? All right, that's all I have. Number 11, approval of the bills. Total approved $85,801.30.
I'll second that.
We're spending money, roll call, please.
Chapman,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Fox, Hines, Patton,
Yes.
Ring,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes. 12A, new business. Sam is nearing retirement. I'll just give you the overview here, then I'm gonna have the Personnel and Finance Department meet with him privately, but I want to bring everybody up to speed. He's contemplating retirement, possibly as early as April of next year, or that would be, or the following year, April of 2023. That means we have to find a water and sewer operator, because they have to have a water system coordinator certification from Eagle. Our classification is D4S3. So we have to find somebody, no matter what happens, we have to find somebody, because it's almost a year internship under somebody that has. So that's where I'm gonna leave it for now, because I'm gonna put it over to Brian Patton, Personnel and Finance. I've got notes. Brian, you're gonna have to get with Sam, figure it out and see what his thoughts are on that.
Okay.
All right?
Steve has most of them certifications, correct?
Correct.
And Jeff.
Jeff does not.
Steve does.
And, let's see. Steve has spoken to Sam that he will be retiring in 2024. So we're not that far off.
And then Steve said he didn't want the same job in the interim, right? Rob, is that the way I understood that?
Correct. So. If Sam were to retire in April of 2020, he would not be interested in that job.
2022.
2022, thank you. Yep, 2022.
Steve is the assistant DPW supervisor. He would fill in until we got something.
He could fill in for a short period of time until 2024.
Yeah, we'll meet with Sam, no problem.
All right. All right, thank you. Police department discussion. Turn that over to Bill.
Well, first of all, we've had a,
Oh, what? Can I do this first? I apologize. We've got Lacey McLean's resignation here. Chief Barrett, while it's been a privilege and an honor to serve as a police officer for the Central Lake Police Department in the Village of Central Lake, I regret to inform you that I'm resigning as the police officer for the Central Lake Police Department. My last day will be May 14th, 2021. It has truly been an honor to work alongside you and the community. I have not made this decision lightly, but I feel that it's the best decision for my family and for my own personal growth. I'd like to thank you for giving me the chance and supporting me through my service. Thank you for the amazing opportunity to work alongside you and with you over the last few years. You have been a great mentor and a leader throughout my years in the Central Lake Police Department. I wish you, the department, and the community nothing but the best. It was a privilege and an honor getting to know you. Should you have any questions or need assistance, please do not hesitate to contact me. I wish you and the community the best. Respectfully submitted, Lacey McLean. I want to thank Lacey again for her service. Motion to accept Lacey McLean's resignation.
So move.
No support.
Let's see, all in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. All right, sorry, Bill, go.
okay. We've had a quite a progressive police originality. We used to have the sheriff and the undersheriff as our village police. And the requirements there were very little. They didn't wear uniforms at all. They were just minimum visibility. Anyway, so we've come a long way from that. Al Burnett started the first identifiable police department, until that we had uniforms, we had citizens badges, we had a car. And since then, we've progressed quite a bit. Our population has almost doubled since the days of Danny being the village police. And our complaint load has probably, I don't know, many times times over. Some of it is because we actually do policing work now, and not turning everything over to the county. And but to do this, what my point is that we used to have very little investment in police, and we had very little results. We were dependent on the county for everything. And that's not so any longer. We have a very dependable and very reliable police department. And I think it's time that we ask the people to support that and fund that police department through a millage instead of trying to get it out of our 101 general account, which it's just not possible to do any longer. No more than we could take a DPW out of general account. It wouldn't work. You can't get it. So in the same way with the police department, we don't have a equipment replacement fund. We don't have capital equipment. We don't have any kind of a funds set up for the police department to stay in existence. It's just as long as we have enough money in the 101 to pay what it costs, well, you know, that's not a very stable way to do business. So I'd like to propose that we have Andrew and the president and you know, investigate the requirements and whatever else is mandated to put that to the public vote and get it done.
I think it's a great idea. The only thing that concerns me is that someone would think we were trying to defund the police.
Well, no, we're trying to fund them.
Right, I know, but
Well, we
I
just
just
gotta
wanna,
Yeah,
the
just so we're,
public, the
so we're
public
clear
has
on
to
that.
know
Yeah,
that
that's
it's not a defund.
Get the word out there.
Yeah.
So a public safety millage,
Sure.
basically, public
Yeah.
safety. Does the village fund, other than law enforcement, do we contribute to the fire department or the ambulance
The
services or?
village does not.
Okay,
You know, there are areas where there's a fire protection assessed against the public, you know,
okay.
but that's not in this area, you know.
Okay.
It's funded strictly through but it is on a tax basis. We have 2.5 mils allocated.
Okay,
We only receiving or asking for 2 mils currently.
okay,
And it's been that way for, I know, I've been chief for 20-some years, and that's what we've stated, 2 mils. So.
okay.
Is that a village or township?
Township.
Township.
Okay, nice.
We used to be village. Sorry. And the village ran it the same way. They didn't have a millage for it. And it was hard to get the money for a used truck. You know, the used truck was out of the question. So
Back to the policing thing, Scott, without, help, is there a way that you're gonna be able to control, like in the summer, or in the winter, or fall, spring, when school's in, you do a great job of controlling traffic up by the school, and you do a great job overseeing that. That's a daytime thing. Without help, are you gonna be able to find a way to get down to the park on a weekend evening once in a while?
I'll try to comment without getting too frustrated. And truly, I'm frustrated with the last 13 years, kind of recently. And I'll give you kind of a little bit of history. When I started here, we had a full-time chief. We had 2 part-time police officers that worked 20 hours a week. So we had 80 hours a week of our police services. The sheriff department's always been gracious as far as when I'm not working, they always cover. We don't have it now. We have just me now. And I can show you statistically, and I've done that before you got here, and you know, Michelle, and you know, I've done that for the last 10 years. We've historically been up 8, 10, up to sometimes 20% complaint-wise. When I took over in 2008, I started March the 1st. We were on complaint number 2. We are handling 400 some odd complaints a year now, with basically half the help that was here before I got here. So, and so I'm a little bit passionate about this, but we've always done more with less, more with less, more with less. And Bill kind of hit it on the head as far as, you know, the village board as a whole hasn't really taken it serious. It's not being disrespectful, it's just I don't think they've understood it or even had the grand picture. When I came here, the Hamlet condos was just coming into existence. And this is a story I've been told, is that when they turned that from a canning facility to the facility it is now, that's, I think, when the village decided, hey, let's make our part-time police department into more of a full-time police department. Al Burnett was hired, Al was basically hired to start up the police department and get it rolling. The village hired a guy by the name of Mike Skyla. The town loved him. Very nice guy. He was here for a short period of time. He was basically the village's first-time, full-time police officer, chief. And he was here for a little while. And I think they had some part-time officers kind of come and go and fill in some spots. They hired a guy by the name of Bob Clark when Mike left. I was here for a couple of years. And then to kind of fast forward things, I got hired shortly after. One of the things that the village board stressed to me when I was in the interview process is that we'd really like somebody to stick around for, a couple of years, 5 years. And to the point where that was kind of the agreement we had. They asked if I would truly consider the job and consider being here for more than 5 years, because it was kind of a revolving door. They were hiring people that were retired, people that just didn't really want to, set roots in the community, and that's kind of the reason why when I took the job, I promised them I would be here at least 5 years. I've been here for 13, so. But progressively, we've always, a lot of turnover. It doesn't pay a lot, doesn't have a lot of benefits, it requires a lot of training. I mean, and kudos to Sam, there's a lot of training that goes along with his job. There's a lot of training that goes with this job that you just can't pluck somebody off the street to fill them in. And historically, we've always hired somebody, got them trained, got their feet wet, got them rolling, and then they run to the sheriff's department because they make better pay, better benefits, and retirement and all those things. So we've historically lost people like that. So, and I understand we're going to lose people. And then recently we just lost Lacey. So to answer your question, it will be very difficult to, I'm only working 40 hours a week, and there's 170 some hours in a week. So how do you strategically plan my schedule? So, and I feel bad for Andrew and Maggie because we're always communicating because there's always an issue going on. I'm like, fuck, God, if I would have worked a little bit later, I probably could have covered that. So it's kind of hard to focus when I could use my time wisely. I told Andrew, we get complaints at 2 o'clock in the morning. Shoot, should I have worked at 2 o'clock in the morning and 3 people saw me, or do I work 8 to 4 when 120 people could see me? And so it's extremely hard. When Lacey was on board, I think we had, I know there's people who probably didn't like her, and probably people don't like me. It's just a different knack for the job. It's kind of one of those jobs that you can't have all the people like that. But we had it going pretty good because I worked on the weekdays, she worked on weekends. We had somebody here every single day, and we would move our schedules around based on if there's a farmer's market or if there's a ball game, or today, last day of school. So I'm there just kind of plugging things in, football games. So we're kind of always moving our shifts around, and it's kind of worked towards advantage for us, but it also works to the advantage of the village. I don't get paid overtime, I don't get paid holiday pay, I just get a flat salary. So, but and I don't mind that, because what benefits me as a person or in my schedule, as far as even coaching and stuff like that, it works great for the village too, because no one really knows when I'm coming, no one knows when I'm going, because it keeps people kind of on their toes. So it will be extremely difficult. Even if you gave me the golden ticket and said, go hire whoever you want, and this is the unlimited check to write the check to pay for that person, it's going to be extremely difficult. The sheriff's department right now, I heard 4, maybe 5, 6, they're down employees. And they offer a whole lot better pay, a lot better benefits.
And they can't find
They can't find people because it's the training, it's the certification, it's all those things that you can't just hire somebody off the street. And, for us, it's hard because, even if we're going to hire you, Ralph, tomorrow, just.
You're smarter than that, but okay.
I agree. It's just trying to get everybody up to speed. And, it takes 4 to 5 years. Even the sheriff's department will tell you, they're new police officers. They'll be in a car with somebody for 6-9 months, and they're on probation for 1 to 2 years, and you really don't get, full stride until they're 5-6 years. And what really hurts them is all the time and money. The way I'm dressed today right now, you've got almost $3,500 invested in me right here, just what I'm wearing. Okay, my car is probably $50,000. So it's those kind of things that you just can't plug somebody off.
Well, I'm all for the village thing we're gonna have to.
And it's frustrating.
What are we gonna do in the interim? Big picture is, right now, we don't have the money and couldn't get anybody. How are we gonna police what we have right now? That's my concern. I mean, I'm gonna vote if Bill comes back with something that says we need this for law enforcement on the village. I'm not saying I'm going to support that. But that said, the fact that right now we don't have that, and I'm worried about what's gonna happen on the campground on Friday night.
It's gonna be a struggle.
You still got the county.
In the sheriff's department, it covers, and they do a great job, but
Well, I mean, I think the main thing, to me, I'm probably naive, but, and maybe Andrew will correct me, or you can correct me, but I just think the cop car drove through the park twice, once at 9 o'clock and once at 10 o'clock. I think a lot of the problems go away.
Sure.
I know they would if I was down there camping and drinking. I'm gonna quiet down, because there's the cop, Lindsay coming back.
we've been doing it now, but campgrounds kind of getting into
You
full
know,
swing.
That's all I'm asking, and I know, I mean, and you're old enough, you put in all this time, and I'm speaking out of turn, so I'm not speaking for the council, I'm speaking for myself, okay, when I say this. I wouldn't mind if you, whatever, work a Saturday evening, Saturday night, and at say time and a half, and just took time and a half off, so it isn't increasing the budget, but like if you work 6 hours on Saturday, that you normally work during the week, and we paid you for 8, so you could take 2 hours extra
You're talking about comp time.
comp time, yeah. I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but I would like, and I'm not saying every Friday, and I'm not saying every Saturday, Scott, because that's not realistic with one human being. And I still like to have a weekend, but whatever, every other one day on the weekend, you drive through there twice in the evening, I think it would alleviate a
He's
lot
done
of problems.
exactly that many times.
Well, I'm sure that, I'm not being critical, I'm just worried now that we don't have another officer, that's all, I'm not being critical at all.
And that's a great idea, and now with things changing, well, obviously with Lacey leaving and now Tom getting busier, we're gonna have to kind of reinvent the wheel a little bit, and I understand that, that's just part of the job.
But I wouldn't mind, honestly, I wouldn't mind comp time for that, like work 6, call it 8, you get 2 extra hours off during the week sometimes. I mean, because I know you have to work during the day a lot to do everything you have to do. But
It's trying to, like I
but
said,
we also need that coverage. And I think of the school, for the village, selfishly, I think the school, we want you there a lot. And the school's in, and the school is out, our other big activities, the campground.
well, my 3 priorities, and I sure would probably share with you guys, the school's my priority, downtown's my priority, and the campground's my priority. And everything else, I still have
Yeah.
some, interest and, desire to do the best I can, but those are my 3 biggest priorities, because I think that's where our service can be used most. One of the other things we talked about, I mean, even Bill mentioned as far as even the funding part, I mean, we have nothing saved for the next police car, nothing saved for a lot of equipment, so looking at what he's talking about is probably a good idea, because, the last 4 cars I wrote grants for, it costs, we paid a little bit towards the Tahoe, but, some things that we don't have the luxury, I mean, what happens if the car dies tomorrow, then, you gotta dig down and really dig as far as how you're gonna replace it, and just stuff like that. And that's the frustrating part, is that, while 15 years ago they had an idea, nothing's really been done to promote that idea and kind of, bring law enforcement into the 20th century, for lack of a better word. So that's the frustrating part. Is this the time we talk about torch light now, or is? Okay. So here comes the other part of the story. About a year or so ago, Torchlight Township approached me and wanted to know if I wanted to do their zoning, because they were looking for zoning thing. I'm like, not interested. It's a frustrating job. It's a thankless job. It really doesn't offer a lot of training. You get kind of there. So I said, no thanks. But I said, look for people in your township that, because they were having, with their zoning stuff, they have a 5-person board. They have a clerk, treasurer, they have supervisor, they have all these people on the board. And when they were getting zoning issues, maybe the clerk handled one day and the supervisor handled one the other day. And, I heard stories about some lady running up to a house and throwing a ticket on the door and taking off and running because she was afraid to confront people. And I'm like, that sounds kind of ineffective, So I was trying to explain to them how the village here we do it. I mean, I kind of do both now, because it kind of helps, because as I'm driving around, I can see zoning violations. As I'm driving around or have an office, people can come see me, and it seems to work really well. And especially with small towns, you kind of wear multiple hats. So I suggested that they find somebody in their township that is maybe like a former law enforcement officer, somebody that, can deal with public and stuff like that, and I kind of steer them in the right direction. And that's kind of we had that conversation. Well, fast forward a couple weeks ago, I get another call from Torch Lake Township, and they said, we'd really like to start maybe looking into some type of law enforcement for our township. They would like more patrol, they would like more coverage, all these things that they would think they would like a police department or a part-time police department. They approached the sheriff's department, and it kind of falls in the story here, but they approached the sheriff's department and said, hey, if we just wrote you a check, what would the number be? So you could hire another person and then send them to our township whenever you can find time or whenever you thought it was convenient. Maybe really putting a stipulation on it. They just said, we'll write the check. You just tell us the amount. The sheriff's department says, we can't. So with that door being shut, they probably about 2 weeks ago about would the village of Central Lake be considered, or would they consider, taking whatever we have for a part-time officer, they pay some more and we hire somebody that wants to work more than, because the other problem we have is, who wants to work 16 hours a week? You can't feed your family. You can't really make a living on
But
that.
if the county can't hire somebody,
Sure.
we're in a circle jerk here. Are we gonna be able to hire somebody?
Yes, so I mean,
else
there's
in the county?
different advantages. Sometimes we can hire somebody that has, in Michigan, to be a certified police officer like myself, you have to be currently working as a police officer. So if I quit tomorrow and not working as a police officer, my certification starts to expire. So the draw there is, hey, if I'm going to work for you tomorrow, but I still don't want to lose my certification, I can work for you, be a part-time police officer on the side, keep my certification. It's kind of a win-win. And we've had some advantage there. That's kind of how Lacey was doing. She didn't want to work a full-time job. Her husband had benefits. He worked full-time. So the fact that Village of Central Lake didn't pay her, medical and stuff like that, it wasn't a big deal. So Torch Lake Township just basically said, so I kind of showed them what our budget was, and they were kind of like took a step back and thinking, oh, okay. So I mean, what was our budget last year for law enforcement? 15,000?
95,000.
No, for part-time, I'm sorry. Part-time officers.
Part-time was
Zero.
16.
Last year?
16,000?
There was zero budget, but
Yeah,
we
we
spent
spent
16. Yeah.
16,000.
Yeah.
So when I threw, they again just said, hey, we would like to partner with you guys. Maybe you can fund part of it, we can part of it, and kind of draw some talent or, at least somebody that's willing to do it. He kind of said, well, I was already authorized to spend anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 to help you fund your part-time officer.
What's annexed to Torch Lake Township?
What's that?
Nothing. Smart aleck remark.
Oh.
Let's annex ourselves to Torch Lake Township. We seem to have some cash.
So, but basically their approach was, if the village was interested in considering, if we hired a part-time officer, maybe they could contribute to where the person could go over there. They also talked about, they'd be interested in the administrative side of it, where I would keep track of who comes and goes. They would use our car, they would pay us for all that stuff, the mileage, the gas, if Andrew had to do anything as far as, his stuff. They were kind of looking for, would this Village of Central Lake be interested in partnering with them to provide police services in their township? And that could all be negotiated as far as time and stuff like that, but their goal is to get an amount and they just write a check and hand it off. Because they would like more services over there. And again, no disrespect to the sheriff's department, it's just, and the sheriff's department will be totally honest with you that, right now, if I looked at my MCT screen, I could probably tell you there's only 2 officers working for the county, maybe 3. So, I can almost guess where they are, close to Mansalona or somewhere on the other side. So they're getting kind of leftover services and kind of, we get some of that. They're not coming through Central Lake unless they're handling a complaint. They're not coming through because there are other places that they have to. And it's reactive police work versus proactive. So Torch Lake Township wants to be on the proactive part. They want to have extra.
So we discussed that at our meeting last week, that we wanted Scott to pursue it and see where it would lead.
So, and that's kind of the question here is, 12B is technically a question to you guys. Would you consider filling that part-time spot, which we already have in the budget? And would you also consider looking at maybe partnering up with Torch Lake Township to help fund the rest of it? So instead of me going out there and saying, Ralph, would you like to work 16 hours a week as a police officer? I can come back and say, Ralph, Now I've got like 30 hours. I can put you here for 16, I can put you there for whatever, and make it more attractive to somebody that would say, you know, I really can't survive on 15 hours. And they're willing to pay for whatever administrative part I do, whatever administrative part Andrew does, the fact that, you know, we send our car over there, so we charge them a mileage rate, gas, and, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, they're basically said they're not at the point where they want to start their own police department, but they kind of want to step in.
Scott, they had a constable for years,
Sure.
and they don't think going that route again would be to their.
Well, I think
advantage?
constable is different than a certified police
Yeah.
officer with full arrest authority and all those things, the training
Yeah.
and all that stuff, so.
'Cause
Scott,
They went
we
with that
have-
for years.
Oh, sorry. This is this hybrid thing with Torch Lake Township. Is this for the next fiscal year, 2022?
Well, they basically, their comment was they'll write the check next week if they need to or want to.
Right.
I mean, they're willing to say, let's go next week. They're saying, you know, and
They're
that's part
willing
of
to pay their share of the car, because it's a lot more than just mileage.
it. Absolutely. I mean, and they're, whatever the going rate is for gas, mileage, wear, air, all those things they figured into it, yeah.
Is that enough though, just mileage?
No, I don't think.
I don't
A
think
police
that-
car costs a lot more to
We
replace.
would charge them maintenance charge.
I mean, the state has what, 55 cents a mile or something like that is their going rate or something like that. So,
Well, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. Let's talk about money.
Yeah, that's, well, it sort of works.
Well, no, I want to know if we're talking money for 2022. Because 2021, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have money for a part-time officer for the rest of the year.
No, we're still 23,000 over committed.
So we're 23,000 over already.
So we got down from 58 down to 23.
So,
So-
being an advocate for Scott right now, what if we, hire an officer to work their hours that they want, their 16 hours, if that's what they want? If we can hire a part-time officer, lease them our car, to use our car, maybe we could have Torch Lake basically pay for our officer for 7 hours. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe we can't get 16, but maybe they would pay enough, because of, it isn't like renting a car, a piece of equipment. I mean, the value isn't 55 cents a mile like the government gives you for driving your Ford Escort.
exactly.
It's not comparable. So we figure out a way that we can lease, rent, however you want to say it, the car with the officer we hired. We work them for as many overlap that doesn't cost us anything.
If we don't make enough to pay for our part-time officers, we should do it.
That's what I'm saying. We use I don't think we can
I
probably,
don't think that's gonna be a problem, do you?
Well, what I'm hearing is basically saying the money that was technically in there for Lacey for the rest of the year is gone.
It's gone.
It's wiped off.
Wiped out.
So what was there is no longer there.
I'm sorry, what?
So what was there is no longer there.
There was 5,
Well, we didn't remove it from the budget, but we're just over committed.
yeah, we're overcommitted from that. So that's why I'm pushing to 2022, because we're already into June, essentially July, so we're already at that point. And that would just bring us back to the millage portion of this, and we could actually do some things with that if we did fund a millage versus this patchwork of trying to find a little bit of money versus out of the 101 fund.
You know, that's still a year in though.
how much
Yeah,
do you think you can, I'm gonna call it, because I'm a business guy, how much can you profit if you got a part-time officer working 16 hours in Torch Lake Village? They're ready to write a check. How big a check are they gonna write?
I think that's where you sit down and figure out, okay, what's the FICA, all those expenses that,
Why just look at
Get attached to an hourly
Lacey's
rate.
past pay?
1803 is your past pay with everything, full boat.
Okay, and it doesn't cost us for a car a year.
Ralph, I figured it up. If
I knew you had, Andrew.
I was just waiting for it. Let's see, what was this? How many hours a week was this? I did $20 an hour because I didn't know what we were to attract a deputy. You know, I mean, I was just factoring high. That would make their salary $31,200 with FICA and everything. Fuel, I doubled what we budget now, so that would be another 3,000 repairs, another 3,000, and 1,000 for uniform. So that puts us at just under 40,000. So if they wrote a check for 40,000, we could employ a part-time officer for 30 hours and it would be covered. So we could give Torch 20 hours and us 10 hours and it would all be paid for. And the 10 hours would be the administrative costs.
There you go.
But that's
I'd
sending,
like to,
that's sending the police officer over there, not here. So
No, that's 20 hours over there and 10 hours
And
here.
here.
10 here, 20 over there.
that's not what you said. You said the 10 was the administrative part.
No, I said that's their cost of the administrative is that they're working in Central Lake for 10 hours.
And that would be for next year?
So instead of paying dollars for administrative costs, they're paying the hours of them.
We can start that anytime.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
can start discussion anytime.
We can start that with, you know, as
Well, and one of the options could be is
soon as
that
it gets an officer.
if we started it up now, I could be over there.
You could do it, yeah.
You know, I don't get overtime like
So
you guys do, so maybe that give me an opportunity to
check when we ask.
work over there, get the ball rolling, see how they like it, and see how, you know.
Hey, I'll tell you what, government's a business, and when we don't pretend it's a business, we're not running it right.
Well,
Absolutely.
and that's kind of on the heels of what Brian said. In the last 15 years I've been here, you guys have never looked at the millage rate to say, how do we catch up with the cost of living? How do we?
Yeah, I agree with that later. I mean, right now, we can't fix the millage today.
No, I'm just saying
But
that
if
it all makes
If we
sense.
could
when you
get
try to
them to
figure
write
out
us
how
a
to-
check for $50,000, it's Berkeley Township. Write us a check for 50,000, heck, that won't outfit.
No, they're not asking to own the car. They're
No,
asking-
but that's what I'm saying is if they want to start their own police force, $50,000 isn't gonna buy the car.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
That's all I'm saying, so $50,000 startup and guarantee them, what was it, Andrew?
20 hours a week, yeah.
Guarantee them 20 hours a week for a year at a $50,000 startup, or even make it 25,000 for 6 months so that we can see how it actually is working.
That would cost them about $48 an hour. So that's probably about right for a police officer, I would say, with benefits, you know, with the, you know, social security. And I think-
At a total cost of $48 an hour, if you can get anybody that can read, you're doing well right now.
Yeah.
Really are. We won't keep them at that, but the government keeps giving them $800.
I charge 50 for a guy
Mhm.
dragging brush. That's where
And, I mean,
that's where I gotta have.
You barely make anything.
Right, that's what I gotta have to get by is 50. If we can't pay enough police officers, it's gonna cost us 48.
And that's factoring way above where, I mean, Lacey was at 16 something. So, you know, I was just going on the high side since
I
it's,
think we
you know,
guarantee him, if we can find somebody that'll work at the rate Lacey was working, and then,
then you can almost, yeah.
I think we make that proposal, I mean, in my opinion.
So kind of, so
50,
Right.
58, and
Right.
about 20 hours a week coverage.
Yep.
And
Let's have it formally written down. We're,
Okay.
yeah, like what we're doing, we're spitballing. We got a lot of things
Right.
floating around out here.
All right.
Well,
I mean, it's gotta be negotiated anyway.
I'd like to have Andrew and Scott sit down, put it all together, and we start.
So you're saying 50,000 a year charge, because that's going to be easier than trying to figure out, oh, I drove 4 miles and Torch.
Well, that's what
Torn
we need.
down.
We need to
Yeah.
set up for anything we may not foresee.
We don't need to lose,
Yeah.
the village doesn't need to lose money.
Yeah, exactly. So 50,000 a year.
Maybe what, I mean, getting scared about what we're promising, have it do it for whatever, a check of 50,000 a year, but we'll do it for 3 months and see how it goes, because it may cost us more than we're thinking. You know what
Call
I
it
mean?
a pilot program.
Yeah, call it whatever you want.
And then so for 50,000 a year, we'd guarantee them 20 hours of coverage.
Yeah, for the first 3 months, and we'll see how it works out. And that way, we're not taking a big risk and losing money for a whole year.
However, we're hiring
It's
a
gonna be in a
deputy, right?
contract, so
It's gonna be
we
a
have to
contract,
have Brian
absolutely.
in a contract to make sure that we're covered, both of us, you know.
Yeah.
We can cancel, they can cancel.
Do we need a motion to go with this.
For that
Yes, I-
3
Hold on,
months,
hold on.
I have a question.
So basically what we're doing is just basically seeing if you guys want to talk about it. I would suggest maybe if it's Andrew and I or even somebody from law enforcement committee, maybe sitting down back with the township deputy and just saying, this is kind of what we're looking at, and maybe come up with some type
Yeah, I
of.
don't think we need a motion or
Agreement
anything.
or whatever.
So just
Well,
strictly
just-
discussion.
okay,
So,
just
to
to go with
Basically,
that.
all we're looking for is, do you want me to
Pursue.
pursuing it, looking into it?
Yeah.
It's probably gonna take a couple more meetings, it's gonna take,
Take more than that, won't it?
sure. Maybe sitting down exactly what they're looking for. So if they put in a piece of paper exactly what they're looking for, I think we can come back with exactly what it's gonna cost.
All right.
So there's no question. So there, and I would caution about taking a check for an amount
Yeah.
without being able to say, hey, this is how we justify it, this is how.
I don't think we can take $50,000 and then have a 3-month probationary period.
No, that's what I'm saying, maybe pay for 3 months so you can get, you're not gonna know,
3 months.
and if it works out in 3 months, then you can negotiate. But hey, this is what we think it's gonna cost a year for that much coverage. We're just throwing out a wild number. If in 3 months this isn't working, we'll know theoretically. And then we can make an adjustment after the 3-month period.
But don't we have, aren't we hiring, is this something that Scott would do extra? Or are we
Well,
hiring somebody?
There's kind of two thoughts that I can think of. Either I jump in and start kind of just testing the water, see how it goes, and then, they want more patrol, or if they.
I think it's gonna be difficult to hire a part-time person and then in 3 months. tell them
Right,
they're
say
all
this
done.
didn't work
But I
out.
think if it was that type of a program, then you can say in 3 months, is this what you're looking for, is this what you want, then you can start looking for more.
Well, for us to hire somebody, we should get a 1-year commitment from them.
Yeah, but what if it costs us more than our original projection? That's what scares me. What if, I don't wanna lose money for the
No,
privilege of supporting
I don't either.
George Lake Township.
I think if
I'm saying
you,
we need to calculate that carefully, not to.
And I don't know, until we start looking at who's out there, who's available, I know some people that don't work as police officers anymore, but they're still certified, would they be willing to kind of enter into like a pilot program to where it's kind of a, at will type of a, let's just try it type basis, and they're not out anything real,
I think you should pursue it. I mean,
I think we're all in agreement to pursue it. I don't think we agreed that we don't need a motion on this, so,
It's under discussion.
all right, so discuss that, so we'll
I mean,
move on.
honestly, nothing's getting promised before you guys are aware.
I think it's something that we need to pursue.
Right, yeah, you're gonna get in.
But at some point, if we do enter an agreement with them, it's gonna be something that's gonna be a contract, and I think where you guys have to pass like an amendment to say,
Oh, yeah.
we're extending our police services over there, or da-da-da. So, and I'm sure Brian Graham will start to do all that. Things like that.
Whereas he wants to.
Scott, who's your contact person that you're working with Torch Lake? Who's the contact person?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Bill Peterson, he's the deputy supervisor for Chicago.
Okay,
And then I've also been in discussion or contact with Cook, Mr. Cook was his first name. Bob Cook.
okay.
So now let's move on to the millage. Police millage. Do we want to start running numbers now?
Yes.
I got it.
We talked a little bit with
Right now, at
Andrew.
no problem.
Newton come, we talked a little bit with Andrew and, about that before, and he was gonna.
Yeah, so 4 mills, if we did a 4 mil millage, it would bring in 108,000, which would pretty much keep the police department where they are right now. They'd have a few extra thousand to, do save or whatnot. So that would be 4 mills is pretty much status quo. 5 mills would give them 135,000, which would be about 35,000 more than what they're currently.
5 mils would be how much?
Very approximate, Linda, 135,000.
4 mills, 108.
108, yeah.
based on a 50,000 SCV.
Well, no, that would be our taxes. So if
Yeah.
a person, our average house SEV is right around, it's just under 50,000. So we did 50,000 for ease of numbers, right? Because you don't want to do
It goes
decimal.
according to taxable value though.
Taxable value, yeah. Taxable value is right under 50,000. Our SEV is actually a little over 50,000. So taxable value is about 48, whatever. So on a $50,000 taxable value, a 5 mil would cost everybody $250 extra tax bill, which we figured out that was, do you remember that number? I got it right.
At 4
20
mills was $16.60 a month.
So at 5 mills, it's $20 a month, $21 a month for an average house. I mean, if you're not an average house, then yeah. So
Pretty reasonable.
yeah, I mean, it looks like, I mean, depends on, yeah, if you look at the yearly, your one tax bill, or if you look at it spread over the year, you know, it depends on the taxpayer, but
It's only on the village.
yeah, that would be village taxes, yeah.
So the summer collection.
Right. So if you were to get, it would have to either go for the August or November election, and then it would be on next year's tax bill. So, but,
Late for August, I think.
Technically, would-
okay, so November's election.
You might be borderline too late for November.
Maybe, I don't know. Then we'd have to do a March election. And March is fine, you can still get on the tax bill by March, but I mean, you don't,
So you would be collecting that until next summer.
yeah, that wouldn't be collected till next summer.
Summer's tax.
Probably too late for this year.
Yeah,
Mm,
definitely. Keeping in mind that additionally, if we pursue this, then we're not taking $101,000 out of our 101 fund to fund public safety. So that frees up our 101 account.
So we wouldn't have to raise a millage.
We won't have to raise a millage for that. And we can start doing infrastructure type projects that we all talked about and would like to see.
You should soon build your contingency up too. You should have a reserve.
Well, that would be our reserve right there.
would be the-
That
yes,
first
that's
year
what
would
I'm
save
saying.
$100,000.
But it needs to be done. We should have done it years ago. It's time to do it now.
So this proposed millage, which, just rough, numbers are real rough, but you said 250?
Yeah, so if average person would pay 250 more tax bill.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll
A year.
stress that these are just,
Yeah,
numbers in the
A year.
air.
a year
A year. So
for their village tax bill. Yeah, once a year.
Which, like I said, divided by 365 days, you're talking 80 cents a day or something.
less than
Changing
the
your
cost,
ashtray.
less than the cost to adapt. one
So
of
those are
these
actual numbers, Linda. The 5 mils
There you
on
go.
it's 250. Yeah, but
That's 4 mils.
what the
What is the next step?
you this black.
To work on that bill?
you guys would have to make a motion to authorize me to pursue it with Brian Graham.
You did the millage for-
I make a motion to pursue the village for policing.
I'm sorry.
How many mils?
Public safety.
How many mills?
4.5.
4.5.
Okay.
The creation of language for a millage, right?
Yeah, to create the
Ballot
language.
You
proposal.
have to go to them. If it-
And then, so this would just, Brian Graham creates the proposal, and then you guys would vote again to put it on the ballot once the proposal is made.
We're still in discussion on this, right?
Yeah,
4.5, not 5.
Not 5.
1.5.
All right, so 4.5, because we did our numbers at 4 mills and at 5 mills. 4 mills was $16.60 a month. So then we're gonna have to go back.
And my reasoning is the 108 was just above our cost right now. So I don't think we need to be 20,000 above. I thought if we were 10,000 above cost right now, we have.
One of the-
Right now, though, is not putting anything aside for replacement.
That was my concern.
That's-
One of the things that
That's the problem.
we can, a patrol car right now is about $50,000 fully equipped, which is a cheap deal. It lasts us about 10 years. You should be saving right now $5,000 a year for a patrol car.
so with
I'd
this,
like to change my motion to 5
you
mils.
amend your motion to 5 mils? Do you still support that, Bill? He amended his motion to 5. You support that? Okay.
4.5 to 5?
Yeah. So with the millage, every year, it's kind of routine that we do it, but in February, we have that General Appropriations Act meeting with a public hearing that nobody shows up to. And that's when you actually determine what you're setting your
Next month.
millage at. So even though the voters vote in 5, you could charge 4 or 3 or up to 5. And you establish that every year. So if it was to get out of hand, you could always lower it back down to 4, 4.5.
Or if you had enough in reserve that you have the next car or next equipment, yeah, you could set that a little bit from year to year or.
Right, yeah, 2.5.
5, we don't operate it.
2.
So we had a motion, we had a support.
Do you want me to roll call?
Roll call it, please.
Chapman,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Ring,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
All right, motion
All
carried.
right, thank you, that's closed. Action item 13A, Budget Resolution Fund 101 and 103. That's for concrete liability insurance and the bond. Andrew, you wanna?
Yeah, so this was just some of our discussion from the finance meeting the other night. The revenue increase you see there is a 1,500. That's going to be, or 15,000. Sorry, is going to be the revenue from the state paying for the concrete replacement in the pavilion, and then the day park increase is the 15,000 that we had to pay for it. So we need to account for things in a revenue and an expenditure versus just canceling each other out in an expenditure. The council increase is for liability insurance for all of, the council's liabilities. Auditor, we were $750 over budget for their audit. So that's that. DPW is giving up $10,000, and then capital improvements, we're removing $42,500 from there. But we have one debt service payment this year of $12,000. Next year, that's going to be $24,000. So, but this year it's only 12. So that was able to reduce us. What did that reduce us? $37,000 approximately. It reduced our removal from fund balance of about $37,000. So it's chipping away at it.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget resolution and fund for the 101.
I support.
101 and 103?
Oh, do you want me to explain 103 now too?
103.
All right. All right. 103 is our capital improvement fund. So that's the revenue you see there, the $450,000. That's the bonds that we issued. Capital outlay, $360,000, and debt service, $90,000. So the reason why we have debt service this year in there is because part of the agreement with issuing the bonds was that we were going to pay off the initial loan that we took out to secure the property. So we paid that off, and that was the debt service of $90,000. Just under $90,000. All right.
Support.
Let's do some roll call since we are moving money around.
All right. Chapman,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Ring,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries.
Right of first refusal. A property on Howard Street. Let's see, it's 4 parcels to the south of the school. Originally had it has 2 trailers on it. It's in foreclosure now.
You said originally, currently.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You said originally, currently.
Yeah, currently, thank you. We can, the county is going through the foreclosure on it, and the village has first of rights of refusal for $33,267.74. My concern is this: if we don't purchase it and then have somebody buy it from us, under the understanding that they'll take the trailers off of it, that someone's going to come in, buy it at auction, and then we're gonna have 2 trailers in the village that will be unkept, and another nuisance that those trailers used to be in the past. So that is my greatest fear, is that we're gonna say no to this opportunity, and somebody's gonna come in and minimally fix up those two trailers because they both have separate water services on them. So they could come in and realistically rent them out. We've got an individual that is interested in purchasing the property from the village and taking the trailers off. So, anything else on that, Andrew, you want to add?
Yeah, so this is right now, it's application of interest to purchase the tax foreclosed property. So it's called the first right of refusal, but the state still has a first dib. So this is just putting us in line behind the state. The state won't want it. So, I mean, technically we're first, sort of, you know, and there's a lot of first in this first right of refusal. So, so we'll submit this to the county if you guys so approve. We submit it to the county, they come back, let us know, yes, 3267.74 is the correct amount of taxes, and then we go from there.
I like to make a motion.
Can I ask a question? So the idea is the village purchases this, and then what do?
We sell it to an individual that's interested in it with the understanding that they're gonna take the trailers off and develop the property.
Can we guarantee that?
You can do a deed restriction,
Part of a purchase again.
yeah, in the purchase agreement, like that's
What if
part of
that person backs out and then we're stuck with two trailers?
Still own his property.
Well, we'd still have,
You'd have to invest in taking the trailers off of there. You'd have a lot in town they have trouble selling for $5,000. And you have to clean up all the trailers, so you're gonna lose money.
but a lot in the village right now, what's that size of that lot?
Water services.
So,
There's one down with a view of the lake by Ken Cruzy that can't sell for $6,500.
so that's just a thought on my side here.
66 by 247.
So,
It's a big lot, but
It's got water and sewer already, so they're buildable lots.
Why can't, I understand we have first right of refusal, and if we refuse it, will that other person buy it?
well, my concern is that whoever purchases it at auction,
why wouldn't that person buy it at auction?
because we're gonna buy it first. And then
So we're gonna
hopefully,
start selecting the people that buy property in the village.
no, I'm just hoping that someone will buy it at this point. I mean,
Because if
I
we
thought you
can't,
said you had somebody.
we've got people in mind.
Why wouldn't he buy it?
Why, and for what purpose do they want to develop that property?
They would take the trailers off,
Yes,
and then from there, they would either flip that lot
Mhm.
or possibly put a house on it.
okay.
So,
Is it
my
zoned
concern,
residential?
my only concern in this whole matter is we're gonna have two more trailers that have been problematic in the village for years. And maybe it's social engineering, that's just,
we can't,
it was just a thought.
no, I
I
understand.
get it, yeah.
If we agree to buy these two mobile homes, I forget what I was gonna say. What if, so if that person, we can't just tell that person that they've got, that we can sell it to them, we have to put it up for bids.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Or could we list it on the market? Like,
With the deed restriction of,
But I mean, we can't just say, okay, you're gonna get those trailers as a government agency, we have to put those out, we have to accept bids.
or we do nothing and leave it be. And we just, I don't,
Has the school expressed any interest, because it butts their property too?
Yeah, that would be the,
yeah,
that would be the ideal.
that would be another entrance to the baseball field. Well, you already got a motion. So I'll rescind the motion if
Bill made a motion.
Bill made the motion.
so.
You gotta take a second or let it
If you got what you feel is a good commitment and somebody to take care of it, I like the idea of selling to somebody that will develop it, not leave it.
How long do we have on this, Andrew, before we have to make a decision?
July 1.
So it's gotta happen tonight. So,
And it says a final purchase application statement due will be sent after the claimant's filing deadline has passed with a final payment deadline. So we're right now showing interest in it that these people still have till July 1, I think, to make a
Pay their
final,
taxes.
to pay their
So
taxes.
this isn't like a commitment to buy it yet.
According to this, it says a final purchase application statement due will be sent. So,
so we can table this and think about it.
no, you have to do your application of interest by July 1.
Alright.
So at the top, here's the form.
It's not a guarantee.
I think-
Then we can vote on it.
Yeah, you-
Back out.
right, I believe so. So, because you all have this form, right?
Yeah.
So you can see at the top, it says, application of interest to purchase tax foreclosed property. So it's not a contract to buy, it's a application of interest to purchase. Is my understanding of it. The township's never done this, so I'm not too familiar. We barely ever have any
And in order to
come up
make a payment
and take it back.
and take it back, and it would be taken off the market.
Do we know
Basically
the-
just
do we know
starting
the
a pecking
name?
order.
He doesn't have to pay the whole thing, he can make a.
The owner's name is currently the Antrim County. When I looked it up, it says Antrim County is the
They've
owner.
already taken it back.
They've already taken it back, yeah.
Oh, all right.
And so they're just doing the final proceedings.
They're not gonna- buy it.
So we need to
You say
make a motion to fill out this application of interest and submit it.
I think
Is
that's
that
what
what's needed?
your motion was, right, Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, that was Bill's motion.
I'll support it.
Let's do a roll call.
Okay. Chapman,
Yes.
Drake,
Yeah.
yes. All right. Fox,
Yes.
Hines,
No.
no. All right. Patton,
No.
Ring,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
So motion carries. So Patton, no.
Ordinance to recommend, amend the village marijuana establishment was tabled. That's the scoring rubric. And we turned that over to Brian Graham. Michelle and I met last Friday and went over it, and we submitted it on Monday of this week to Brian. So we're gonna table that. So now we're on to 14. Old business. I don't have any old business. Anybody have any old business? Public comment. Tom, thank you for your patience.
Okay, I think there may be a silent majority on the council that oppose the noxious weed ordinance. I don't know that for a fact. Ralph had the guts to say that he considered the ordinance stupid, which is an understatement. The village refuses to comply with their own ordinance. It was last year 72 inches tall on their village property. If I have 9 inch grass on mine, I can be cited and I can be fined $500 per day for each day in violation. Or I can get a tax lien against my property. I have 4 possible ways to prevent losing my property. One of them would be convert my yard to a small grain crop, which would exempt it under the Noxious Weed Act of 1941. Another would be to buy 3 gallons of Roundup, defoliate my entire yard. Another might be seek injunctive relief for medical reasons from the ordinance. And anyway, that would just protect my property. It wouldn't protect the other property owners within the village. There is one solution that would do that, and that would be disincorporation of the village. And I'm prepared to circulate a petition to disincorporate the village. I'm working on that right now.
Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other public, over here? Motion to adjourn,
So,
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That was,
Gosh, that was too fun, guys. Yep.
The whole thing,
The
man.
whole thing.
2 hours.
I like the idea of a basing in the new village hall, sit down and drink after.
That is, yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, great, in between the bathrooms, that way you don't have to go far to get another beer and get rid of one.
and it slides to the stairs, so we don't have to fall down in there.
How about a fire pole?
There you go.